welcome back to Walking On My Shoes, the podcast. I have a very, very special guest, Keely, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Keely. I am a personal development coach, I would say. I don't know, I don't really like using titles at the minute. No, but I'm still finding my feet.
Yeah, but you're finding it, but it's still something what you've got your vision on as well.
Okay, so I'm a personal development coach. I'm studying psychology and I'm a mental health advocate.
And how's all that going?
It's a struggle because I'm still trying to personally develop myself and overcome my own mental health struggles, but I'm getting there.
So, like, when you say, like, you got, like, you're learning the mental health, can we talk about the things what you've gone through, what you've been through, what you've learnt from to where you are now and the reason why you're doing what you're doing? So, let's just get from the start. So, tell me a bit about your upbringing.
Okay, my upbringing was... It was normal. Yeah. I'll say it was normal. I wasn't overprivileged. I wasn't underprivileged either. So, lived in Solihull Lodge. Just about made the B90 postcode. Just coming to the Solihull. And yeah, mum and dad split up when I was 15. But apart from that, my upbringing was okay.
Do you reckon your mum and dad splitting up was the start of the mental health thing?
Do you know, if you would have asked me this about 2 years ago, I probably would have said definitely not. But the more I'm learning about myself, I definitely think it did have a big part to play. But I remember how I felt at the time. And I don't know if it was because I was young or in denial or whatever, but I coped really well. But I think it has subconscious effects and...
Subconscious, very important. Subconscious, that's the thing about people. People don't understand that they're looking from a conscious view and they're looking from a subconscious view, so 100%. They have to really be aware what the subconscious, like the people around you, the energy, what you've seen when you was a child, your mum and dad, and it can affect you in like the later stages. So I went onto your Instagram page, I checked you out and stuff like that before you come. And
Did you watch my videos?
Yeah, I watched.
Did you feel motivated?
You know what? Yeah, I felt the energy. I felt the energy there, but I do actually like the videos, and obviously, as the viewers don't know, that you're going to start coming onto the show, Walk a Mile in My Shoes, and with the small talk and stuff like that, and you're going to start speaking to guests and that. 100%. But how do you feel about that?
I feel good about that because I've really tried hard since I've started this journey of, I'll say, the journey of becoming the best version of myself. And the reason I say the best version of myself is because I'm fully aware of what it feels like to be the worst version of myself. So since I've started this journey, I've really tried to find a platform that resonates with me and my future as opposed to my past. So Walk a Mile in My Shoes, obviously, I am driven and motivated by the unfortunate events that have happened to me. So getting to talk about it, I feel like when you share your own story, you inspire others without even meaning to.
Yeah, and people, like the story what you've said, that viewer's probably going through the same stuff and can learn from you.
Exactly.
That's why I think but I don't even know what you've been through, but for you to want to help people with mental health, I feel like to help people you have to understand people. You have to talk from experience. You can't just guess how they would feel. 100%. So let's talk about it. So what's the most like I said, if you want to skip any questions, no, I'm just saying I tell everybody that if you want to skip a question, you can skip a question. What's the most traumatic thing what's happened in your life?
Okay, I have to take my glasses off for this because I feel like I need to just be unmasked. The most traumatic thing that's ever happened to me is when I was 18, I just passed my driving test and I was involved in a really bad accident, and that accident led on to a fatality. So I'll tell you the story. What happened was I was on the Stratford Road, which, if you don't know, it's like a really long road that runs through Birmingham. I wasn't supposed to be in work that day, but one of my colleagues had phoned me and our boss was on holiday and she was like, oh, can you open the salon in the morning and I'll close it on the night? So I went to the salon. As I was pulling off, it was Good Friday, so there wasn't really many cars on the road, and it was a dual carriageway, but I was not joining the dual carriageway. I was going back on myself, so straight opposite me was like a central reservation.
Okay.
As I was pulling off to go back on myself, there was a lorry who could see what I was trying to do, so he flashed me to go. And then as I started to go forward, I was still in first gear, and there was a lady who overtook the lorry, thinking that the lorry had stopped, and come into my driver's door, hit me on the driver's door and sent me across the whole dual carriageway. I hit the central reservation and flipped over, and then I carried on going forward, and I went straight into the bus stop on the other side of the road, and there was a man in there who died. He got completely crushed by my car, yeah. So that was the most traumatic thing that had happened to me. I think...
Wow, that's really traumatic, that is.
I think because I didn't know. You don't get taught how to process like trauma and emotions and stuff in school. And I think that the way I reacted to what had happened, because when I obviously got arrested there and then at the scene, they breathalyzed me and stuff. I wasn't on my phone. I wasn't drinking. It was genuinely
but they have
a freak
to do that
accident.
anyway. But
of course they do.
Yeah.
And the woman who had hit me hadn't been wearing her hearing aid. So when the lorry had he horned because he seen what was about to happen, she couldn't hear.
Oh, yeah.
And in the statement, the woman said that she was in the other lane, and no, the lorry said that he was in the other lane, and the woman said that there was no lorry. So everybody was protecting themselves, and somebody had to take the blame, obviously. And because of that situation, I feel, looking back now, knowing what I know about my own mindset, I feel that I pleaded guilty to something that I felt I wasn't guilty of. And I think because that pushed me, so I lost my identity. They kept putting me in the papers saying that I was showing no remorse. But the reality of the situation was I was severely depressed, and I had post-traumatic stress disorder, and I didn't know how are you supposed to deal with that. Every time I went to sleep, I was replaying it over and over and over again. I tried to go back to work like after about 2 or 3 weeks, I can't really remember, but it was right opposite where it happened, and it was too much. But because I was constantly running away from dealing with it, because I was probably too scared to face it head on, and I was a child as well, I think I just the way that I acted after wasn't a true reflection of who I was. And because I kept breaching. I got a community service order for that and a driving ban. But I kept breaching. But it was like I triggered a series of negative events. So I went to community service and my bag got stolen, and I'd do something else and this would happen. Then I was involved in another crash and I was like, what's happening? Yeah. And I didn't have any kind of faith or belief in God or a force higher than myself. So I just felt like I was like a reject on earth, and all of this negative stuff was happening to me. And when you face all of your problems inwards and you only have yourself to blame, it's a very lonely place to be. And I think because they kept putting me in the paper saying that I was showing no remorse, and I didn't make it easy for myself. I forged a letter saying I was at work, that's why I couldn't go to community service, but really I was in bed because I couldn't even get out of bed to go to community service. And my probation officer, she kept checking up. I remember I altered a doctor's note, which it is fraud, but I didn't do it to defraud the government for loads of money. I did it to kind of protect myself because I didn't know how to deal with mental health.
Yeah, you just wanted to stay away from the whole thing. Yeah,
exactly. It got that bad that I tried to take my own life. I really did. And when I was in the hospital, when I woke up, I just remember thinking, what am I doing here still? I didn't want to face it. I was scared. I was scared to go to court. And then when they kept reaching me...
you tried to kill yourself before you had to go to court?
Before I had my sentencing.
And that was obviously too difficult to face for you then, wasn't it?
Because I could have gone to prison, which I did, by the way, a year after, but I'll tell you that after. I could have gone to prison. I was still having my nightmares. I was still trying to live a normal life. I was still trying to, people were talking about it. I didn't like being spoken about in that way. It was a horrible feeling.
It was a new feeling as well.
Everybody knew who I was all of a sudden, and it's not something that I wanted. It's not something that, I don't know, it was a freak accident that really dictated a lot of my life for the past.
It's weird
years.
because you was just driving.
Yeah, literally.
And your life just literally changed like that.
I was doing somebody a favour because I wasn't even supposed to be in work that day, which is it's not the worst part about it, but a lot of the years after that, being in, when you go through the blame game and you're in denial and you tend to blame everybody else apart from yourself. Why this, why that, why me? I think it just doesn't really make it any easier. But
so
I got community service in a driving ban. I kept breaching my community service.
Because you didn't want to go, because too much to deal with and stuff.
Yeah. And I suppose I did look like a rebellious teenager, but I don't actually care what I look like anymore, because if I could go back and give the 18-year-old version a hug and tell her that it was going to be all right, then I definitely would, because she definitely needed it. And then a whole year after that, I breached again. My probation officer didn't help either. Like, where was everybody? Like, why was my probation officer so... If she knew that I was forging documents and not going to community service, and I tried to kill myself like twice by this point, why would nobody get me any help? Do you know what I mean? I just don't understand it.
What was your like family like going through that stage with you?
I think it was difficult for them, because how do they know how to deal with somebody who's gone through a trauma if they haven't necessarily been through one themselves? I was at a point in my life where I was just coming into adulthood, so I was trying to find my own feet. I think it was really difficult. They have to try and keep themselves together for me and be strong for me, but I just wasn't listening to anybody. I just was in my whole own world then. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to listen to anybody. Nobody understood what I was going through. So when nobody understands, but people try and talk to you, your defences are on straight away. You just push people all the way back. You don't care. You're not interested.
And what was the no, you are right, you know what you said. What was like so you went to jail because of that?
Yeah, so sorry. I breached, and then they sent me back to court. So I went to court. My friend took me to court, which I wasn't even going to go to court that day.
You weren't even going to go to court?
I wasn't even going to court. I had greasy hair. I had no clothes with me. I just threw some clothes on. Do you know what? As this
was you at a stage in your life that all that's what happened? You kind of just didn't look after yourself as much, and you just your eating weren't on point.
Yeah.
Is that when you
everything had, like, I was sleeping all day. Like, I wasn't working. I was just trying to be normal with the way that society is, I suppose, and with everything that had happened, there was a complete internal disconnect that I wasn't aware of. And when I went back to court that day, I sat in the room with my solicitor, and she was like, you do realise that you're going to be resentenced for the original offence, and there's a high chance you could go to prison today. I was at the point where I really didn't care at that point. I didn't think I was going to prison. I didn't cry. I was just like, oh.
I think you was kind of numb. You were just like numb, weren't you? You was like, whatever happened to you, you was just like, whatever.
Waited all day to go into court. I was the last person they seen, and then the judge started talking. He was like, you've got no remorse. You're showing lack of remorse for the man's family. Now, please believe me, that has haunted me ever since. I have been very remorseful. The day after the whole thing happened, I bought a bunch of flowers and I put, I'm so sorry. I'm a very sensitive person by nature. Of course that affected me because of their family and knowing that he had children and stuff. Of course it did. But I still had to get on with dealing with what had happened myself, and I think that's where the lack of remorse came into it, because I was processing. So the judge was saying all this to me, making me feel like even more of a worse person that I already felt, and then he gave me a custodial sentence of 6 months. So even though it wasn't a criminal offence, it was a freak accident, I was being treated like a criminal, and then I was in prison. What does that do to a child's mental health? Because
And after you tried to kill yourself as well, then what did you actually think was going to happen?
Exactly. And then I think by the time I got into prison, I cried all the way there. I just couldn't, I didn't understand where my life was taking me. I just didn't know, like, how had it got to this?
I can't even, it kind of blows my mind, because you're just driving down the street one day to go to the hair salon, crash, someone's died, now you're on the way to jail, like that.
Exactly, and that is how quickly your life can literally change.
Literally. So
in seconds.
how did you come back from all that?
I've only recently come back.
Yeah.
I've only recently come back for sure, because
some people would never come back from that.
I know, and I think the reason that I had to come back is because I was always running. I was always running away. So I came out of prison and I was like, right, I'm recovered now. I've done my time. Like, let's just get on with it. But that's the external me.
Yeah.
The internal me was like just not fixed at all, completely broken. But I got jobs and I worked on a cruise ship. I travelled around a lot of the world, and on the external, my life looked fantastic, but on the internal, I was not fixed and I was not happy. And nowhere that I could be was making me happy. And I think that knowing now, it's hard because I know now why I did what I did, but to get back into the mentality of when I was doing it is really difficult. So then I came back. I had a string of relationships with people who didn't treat me very well because I didn't have any respect for myself or self-worth, because I had no idea who I was anymore, and I've kind of give up trying because bad things kept happening. So I lost all faith completely. And then,
would you ever say you was a nasty person or anything from it, or now you're still a polite person, or what? What did you think?
Oh, don't get me wrong. I've had toxic traits.
Yeah.
I mean, when you go through a lot of negative things, I automatically became that person. So I was like, all right, then you don't think I'll show no remorse? Okay, then I'll act like I don't. But that's acting. That's not who you are.
Yeah.
That's just the face that you show the world, because you have to protect yourself to a certain degree.
Yeah, you're right.
Because otherwise you get attacked. That's the way the world is. So, and even in the relationships, I won't blame all of my ex-boyfriends for the way that the relationship ended or how toxic that the relationships were, because I had stuff to deal with.
Yeah, you was dealing with stuff.
I wasn't even trying at that point. I was just like, right, I know that I need someone to love me back together. But unless you love yourself, you're never going to be loved back together.
That's one big thing I always agree with. You can't be in a relationship unless you love yourself.
100%.
And you can't look for other people to love you, to make you feel loved. You have to go through that darkness to get. You have to go through darkness to love yourself. Then once you love yourself and you meet that person, then it'll be a good relationship.
100%. And it's always with a relationship, it's always at the beginning, it's a temporary oh my God, I like this human. Human likes me, and then it's great. And then it's great. But always remember as well, you attract what you are. So that person is just equally as messed up as you, just in their own. They've got their own. They've dealt with their own stuff. So you meet each other and you fill that hole for each other for a very short amount of time. And then when reality sinks in and you go back to your original state of being, which is sad, depressed, anxious, you start attacking them. You attack each other because they're sad and they're blaming you. You're sad and you're blaming them. You look for blame in everything else apart from yourself if you're not aware that all problems stem from within. And then it ends badly. It's happened to me a couple of times. I've had a couple of relationships that have ended badly, but I will say this now, and I've said this before, I forgive everybody that I've been with, and I hope that they forgive me, because I wasn't the best version of myself, and I know that they weren't. And I don't hold on to forgiveness. I mean, I don't hold on to pain and stuff, because I spent a good 10 years holding on to pain and stuff, and it didn't get me anywhere. So when you release everything and you just take accountability for your own life. Even back, I should have just gone to my community service, even though I wasn't in the right state of mind. I know that now, but I can't change it. So you just have to deal with it. You just have to, whoever you are now, just one day at a time. It's hard. Life's hard. Everything comes at you from all different angles, and you've still got to maintain strong internally more than anything. So you can continue on your own journey and empower everybody as well along the way, because when you realise how messed up you are from your own personal struggles, you then start to realise and understand how messed up everybody else must be. And anybody who's acting from a place of hatred or anger or jealousy or anything like that, it's because they have their own issues that they're internally dealing with. So if everybody was a little bit more compassionate and just allowed everybody to be who they are and just supported them and encouraged them and helped where they can, not give more than you're willing to give. I always say that you fill your own cup up, so you look after yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, finances will follow, and then you fill your cup up till it runs over and you give from your saucer. You give what you can.
I felt like I just imagined that in my head.
Really?
Yeah, literally, that was mad.
That's how it is. And then you give from your saucer, and then you lose a bit of energy a little bit because you give in. So then you have to come back in. I do anyway. This is how I see it. I come back in. I go back into my little cocoon.
Recharge.
I recharge, refuel, and then when I come back, I've got bundles of energy that I can just spread around, which is good energy.
Do you feel like now that everything what you've been through, you're a perfect person to help people with mental health? Because you've been through it, you've experienced it.
Yeah. I believe that I don't believe in perfection. I think everybody's imperfectly perfect.
Yeah,
my friend actually is going to be starting a business called Imperfectly Perfect, and I think that's just a brilliant name, because it's nobody is perfect. You can never be perfect, but everybody can be perfect for themselves. So I do still suffer with anxiety sometimes because I'm constantly facing fears, because I've got such high now I've found my faith and I know that I can create what I want out of life. I will stop at nothing now. So I have to be fearless, but to be fearless you have to face your fears. So I do still struggle with anxiety around certain situations. I don't get depressed anymore, but I have low energy days. So I'm just like, okay, you'll see me active on Instagram for probably 4 days straight and then I'll disappear. Sometimes I'll even deactivate. I'll disappear for a bit. But that's not because I'm depressed. That's because I'm processing, I'm recharging, I'm, having a bit of low energy. I'm giving my body what it's telling me that it needs.
I think it's so important as well that you've just said that for people to understand that, because social media does take the mental, it takes a lot of stuff out of you, doesn't it?
100%. It's like social media is what a lot of my anxiety is based around, because I have I'll tell you what my biggest fear is at the minute. And I don't know where it stems from. In fact, do you know what? Talking about my accident, I think it stems from here. When I was in the papers and they was portraying me to be this horrible, nasty, teenage, non-caring, non-remorseful person, and that really wasn't who I was. I think that now I have this fear that people see me as somebody that I'm not. So, but it's based around lots of things like, do people think I shouldn't be this happy because I've been so sad? Or do people think I'm fake because I've been through so much? Or do people think I'm crazy because I literally, I'm just like this different person now? But it's not. I'm just finding myself. You just feel your way there. You go through different motions. You have to come face to face with all of your personalities to really decide which one not which one you are, but which traits you don't want for your personality anymore. What bad habits do you need to get rid of?
Self-reflecting.
Constant self-reflection.
So where do you see yourself in the next, I know it's hard to say with everything what's going on, but where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Well, I'm currently studying psychology. I want to go ahead and get a PhD in psychotherapy. I want my own office, and I think that I have clients now, business coaching clients and personal clients for either personal development or mental health, depending on whatever. I'd like to do it on more of a professional scale. I think that's what my calling is. I believe that's where I excel the most. I enjoy helping people.
And that's your passion.
I'm passionate about it.
I can tell. Literally, I watched one of your videos on your Instagram, and it's just you just felt powerful. I could tell the emotion was everything was behind it, and you really wanted to empower that person watching.
I think it stems from not really having anybody to be like, it's okay to have days where you're not feeling okay.
Yeah, that's what I think you was telling them it's okay and stuff. I thought that was very good,
Thank you. You got to base on your own growth. You've got to just do what you can. And I tried Well, I say I tried, I still do it sometimes. I like to write music and sing sometimes, but I don't get the same energy when I'm in the studio as I do when I'm actually making a change or helping people untangle their own mental wires, because I know that I've done a good service.
Yeah, what you're doing, you're saving people's lives.
Wow.
That's how if you very, very deep into a level, you are actually saving people's lives.
And that's all I want to do. That's all I want to do. Life is very, very short. We're not here for a very long time. It can feel like that sometimes, especially when you're down and you have no idea what it is, where you're going, or who it is that you want to become. And there's a lot of social pressure, loads and loads of social pressure. And I think just to be okay with who you are and have inner peace and happiness is the ultimate goal. It's the ultimate goal, to feel good.
One second, let me press that button now. One second.
Am I doing okay?
Yeah, that's sweet. I just gotta press that button. But so for the viewers now, so everyone knows a little bit, a lot more about you now, Keely.
I know, it's scary, isn't it?
But I think it's important that you've put yourself out there, and a lot more people will now know about your story. People can relate to your story, and you could save someone's life. So, from you to the viewer, what advice have you got to them for life?
Okay. Let me just get into a line.
Yeah, take your time. Take your time.
Okay. Whatever it is that you want from your life, go after it unapologetically with the best intentions. Don't do anybody a wrong, because karma is real and it comes back round real quick. Don't fear other people's opinions of you. Just go for it. There's nothing you can lose. If you trap yourself with the thoughts of other people's opinions of you, or fears of failure, or fears of any kind, fear comes from the devil. Eradicate fear of all kinds. Have full faith in the universe, in God, in a force greater than yourself, even if it is just yourself. Believe in yourself that much that you know that you can achieve anything that you are passionate for. And when you do achieve it, remember that God got you there, or the universe got you there, or yourself got you there. And remember to give a service. You don't get anything for free, but what it's really about is empowering people to become who they really are, so they can break out of the social confinements that keeps everybody controlled and trapped. I hope you learned something from that.
Whoa, that's the best one I've ever heard. You know? Yeah, that's good, man.
Thank you.
But yeah, people, I just want to say thank you again. Thank you to our sponsor, Patsy CMOS as well.
Patsy, we love you.
But yeah, it's beautiful. But yeah, guys, that's Keely.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Come on, Keely, man. But yeah, you're gonna see on the show a lot more. And yeah, man, just let me know what you think about her, man. Peace.